So hi, my name's Deet. I found out about CAT when I moved here in 2017. Prior to that, I was pretty big into biking, so I looked for a bike organization when I moved here, and that's how I met the lovely Julie and Anne. And I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about my bike setup for camping or touring or whatever. The reason I got into touring is back in 2013, I did a ride called Bike and Build. So after that trip, I got really excited to start camping and carrying my own stuff. But I didn't want to spend all the money on the gear that people think you need or you might actually need for those kinds of trips. And so I found this tutorial online to build these kitty litter bucket panniers. So I'll show you what these look like. They're just kitty litter buckets with some hooks drilled in and a bungee cord, and you can store all your stuff in it. It's really great because it's waterproof, it's cheap, it's light. You can also store stickers on it, which is nice. And I found the tutorial online. I can share the link with y'all. I'm also hyper organized, so I label things so I know what's in there. So when I'm frantically looking for things, I can find it easily. And I have my trusty safety triangle on there too. And they attach on to a back rack. They just hook on with the hooks that you drilled in, and then the bungee cord has a little hook on it, and you can hook it onto there. So one tip if you go this route is things rattle around a lot. It can sound like you're a very loud vehicle coming through. So you want to wrap things up in something soft usually, just so things don't rattle as much. But otherwise they worked really well for me. At first I was very overwhelmed by this, so if you feel overwhelmed, that's okay. I was tempted to just, buy all the things so I didn't have to make them. But my boyfriend, now husband, actually helped me figure it out. And it's actually very simple. Once he stepped in, it took us less than a half an hour to make. So all you need, you can get these pieces at Lowe's. So I cut out the plastic to make space for these. So you can see that yellow plastic there, that's cut out. And then you get these hooks at Lowe's and screws. And then inside there are washers to hold them in place. And all of that stuff you can get at Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever. A local hardware store would be ideal. And then you screw them in, and this bungee cord, you make a hole. I think I just did this with like super sharp scissors. I didn't have a proper tool for it. Just made a hole, put that through. I tied knots to make the bungee cord the right size, so a lot of this is kind of, very DIY. Put the hook on and you're pretty much set. One thing you want to take note of is where you put these, so you just want to make sure that it actually fits onto the rack. So I like putting it a little further up so that if it gets pushed back for some reason, it has another spot to bump up against. So you just want to make sure that those actually fit where they belong.
And your foot never bumps or anything like that?
Nope, my foot's never bumped. And this is a pretty small bike. I'm pretty average height. I'm 5'4", and I've never had an issue with hitting. So if you have an even smaller bike, you might have some issues, but for me, it's never been a problem.
Nice. And I think my last question is that enough for all of the things you want to bring? Or do you sometimes use bungees on the top?
That's a good question. So if I am camping, I also use front panniers. So that's I get a front rack on my bike and I use front panniers. And then usually I'll put, on one trip I had a bear can on here strapped down. Or I'll have like a sleep sack or something like that.
Nice.
But if I'm staying at a hotel or, if I'm doing less rugged trips, this is enough. So it really depends on what you're carrying, what you're packing. One of the first trips I took them on was from Northern California down to Southern California. And that was fully self-supported. It was pretty much, we weren't going through towns or anything, so we had to carry all of our own food too. And I really like making dehydrated food, and so if you are kind of out in the back country or somewhere you don't have access to places, all you really need to do is dehydrate food with a dehydrator. You can make like a stew or something, stick it in, and then it turns into like a leather, almost like a fruit leather, and then you put that in hot water when you're wherever, and then you have a really nice meal for eating while you're on the road, which is nice because you use up a lot of calories, so you want to be sure to have plenty of food.
Nice. Have you changed the cat boxes since you first made them? Have they needed any adjustments or any troubleshooting?
These are actually my second set. My first set were icing boxes, so they were like industrial commercial icing boxes. Those I got on Craigslist, I think. These I just posted on a neighborhood site and someone had them, and I don't have cats, I don't have these sitting around, but someone had a ton of them, so I just posted and got them from someone. The first set started to fall apart after a lot of use, but they're pretty cheap and easy to make, so that wasn't a problem to make another set. Things to keep in mind for a first time tour. It's super fun, so it can be scary. I remember the first time I went, I cried the day I was leaving because I was just so overwhelmed with the prospect of it. But it's super fun once you're actually riding. It'll be great. You do want to get your bike checked out at a local bike shop before you go, just to make sure everything's functioning. Have some sense of kind of basic repairs. I mean, you're really good if you just know how to fix a flat. Beyond that, so long as you're near society, civilization in some way, you'll be fine. But do know how to change a flat if you can, and just make sure your bike's in tip-top shape before you go.